All right, I'm back. I'm back. Can you hear me?
You hear you great, dude. You sound fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. So I don't know. This whole thing is just throwing everything into absolute mayhem. I can't even keep track of the days anymore.
Excuse me. Well, you're here, and we're going to do a pre-show.
Let's do it.
Oh, my gosh. I might cough my brains out. All right. This is the pre-show for the Rants of Izzo here on Spreely TV. And I need All right. It is Tuesday. This is the Rants of Izzo. Hope you guys are doing well. This is Spreely TV, your one-stop shop for all things, whatever, entertainment, educational, sometimes entrepreneurship. You get to see behind the scenes about how we run a show, and it just goes to hell all the time here. Live on location is Eric Butler joining us today, so we're loving that. We're going to be touching base with him and finding out where in the world he's at. And all that good stuff he's going on through. Eric, would you do me a favor while I try to monkey with this stuff in the background?
What's up?
What is Report and Opine? Talk about that for a second, would you? Because I think it's very important.
Yeah, well, Report and Opine started when I was in New York City, when I was literally just I was furloughed from work. So I was going all around and just like reporting on like the scene, reporting on the scenes from Opine part comes from, and of course, it's where the book comes from.
What's the name of that book again?
New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued. It only gets better with age, as you know. 260 full color pages, 8.5 by 11. It's amazing. They're going to teach it in history classes in a decade.
The whole world is going to shit, and the only thing that's really relevant is the fact that your book is hitting the targets today. Guys, go to Spreely.com and check out all the stuff we have there, including other shows like Report and Opine, The Dumb Show, Shannon Joy's Show, Evening Rants, the Berm Pit podcast, which the boys will be on tomorrow. Apparently, Scotty is no longer has to work his shift at the Dairy Queen. Behind the dump. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And and the Rants of Izzo. If you've ever missed a show of the Rants of Izzo, you can just go and check it out there. We're live in 45 seconds. This is a pre-show where we kind of like gain our composure and just enjoy the ambience on doing a show. And, that's just that. We do have a chat, and it is good to see everybody in the chat. Bev, April, Sean, I know you'll be listening later. Sarah, awesome. If you guys want to get involved, Kelly, if you guys want to get involved in the chat, it's on Telegram, because we know everybody wants to watch on their selective shit, and I don't monitor any other chat that's out there. So Telegram, the Rants of Izzo Show, you can join us there. Oh, the phones are open too. We're doing that for regularly now. So 708-982-0974. If you want to call in and ask Erica any questions or me or whatever, call in. Let's have a show.
Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on the show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention. This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your hosts, Dominic Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
Hey, good afternoon. Tuesday here on the Rants of Izzo on Spreely.tv. Hope you guys are doing well. It's another heat wave out here in Chicago. It rained last night. We had the tornado sirens go off about 7 times while I was enjoying my cigars last night. 7 damn times they were going off. And we survived it. And I had 2 cigars outside. I probably stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning listening to the rain or whatever, some kind of rundown. You are on location in your new state, and you're still without power, huh?
Yeah, bro, it is absolutely brutal. Because as I understand it now, obviously I'm the furthest thing from an electrician or a lineman or whatever. So I truly don't know. But you know, when you see these teams, these crews outside, and one pulls up right in front of our house, and initially I'm like, oh, perfect. Like, yeah, just this is the place, bro. Go ahead and flip the switch, put us back on. But obviously, it's a huge grid. It had, I I mean, it did have something to do with our house, but it was more about the entire neighborhood and a down tree in the backyard behind my house, and it's all a complete mess. But I talked to them yesterday. I mean, this has just been such a whirlwind, but I talked to them yesterday, and they said that it was possible we would have power last night. Of course, that came and went. So I'm hoping, praying, wishing that any minute now. I'm not at the house because it's a heat wave. It's no AC. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I'm thankful to be over here, camped out at a house with power and AC and all that stuff. And it could be worse.
Dude.
A little inconvenient, but it could be worse.
Thanks to modern technology, you get to join us today, but we don't get to see you. So what the rest of the world gets to do if they're watching is they get to see me, what I do during the show when I'm talking to a guest. That's just scroll the internet. People have no idea what I'm doing. So I got my screen up. So I had to be careful if I open up messages and they're like, and maybe I don't want people to see me sexting people. I just can't handle that one. Wow, that's okay. That's an interesting one. All right, so the clear thing is now we have to talk about the assassination attempt. Yesterday, I had Matthew Spear on from the Dumb Show. We broke it down. We were actually joined by John Burke and Josh, which was great for about 20 minutes from All American Savage Show. And we went live. We kind of did a Cheers in Gary's Old Town Tavern for those who are old enough to remember that reference. And we had a great little back and forth. Talk about it. It's kind of like, where were you when 9/11 happened? A couple different things. Dude, this was, it still hasn't hit me like today. This was serious. This was legitimately serious. And I don't know if I'm so numb to how the world goes lately where I'm like, because the day of, like, I said this yesterday. I'm driving in the car with my dad. We're both smoking cigars on the way to my aunt's house. And I stopped at a light and I pull up this thing and I'm like, somebody took a shot at Trump. And I just kind of flashed him the video of him getting whisked away. And I'm not going to lie. I think because I'm so desensitized with shit, at the moment, I couldn't care less. And now it's like a couple days later, and I'm like, holy shit. Not only was he shot at, he was shot. Yes. He was shot. Yes. And so I want to get your view and, how you feel about everything.
Yeah. I would take the opposite. Like, when obviously it wasn't long ago, but I remember we were literally cleaning up the backyard because the down trees and all that stuff. But I remember, we take a break to check the phone. It was probably an hour or so after it happened. I don't know like what the real timeline was, but I know when I saw it, because my buddy told me, he was like, dude, I think he said he wasn't even sure at the time. He was like, I think somebody just shot at Trump. And then I opened my phone, or I switch apps, and then, because at that point in time, there was nothing. We were still talking about like, Joe Biden press conferences or whatever. And then in that instant, I just refreshed, and boom, everything was Trump, literally getting shot. And immediately, this is going to sound corny, but I was like, bro, this is it, right? Like, and a lot of people, I don't know what you guys talked about yesterday, but a lot of people kind of, I've seen going around like, oh, Trump just won the election. And I'm like, well, okay, but Trump probably won the election months, if not years ago, if it's all on the level, which is what led to the attempt, right? Yeah. So you can't, you're saying, oh, well, he's got it in the bag now. Bro, he had it in the bag, if it's all on the level, a year, maybe even 2 years ago, which is what got us to this point. And of course, you probably know better than I do, as with experience in law enforcement, but without being an expert, I'm not jumping to conclusions or conspiracies or anything, but seems a little strange.
Dude, I think the easiest thing was it was DEI gone wrong, and I'm not going to lie, I don't really care about offending people anymore. And we talked about this with Matt Spear last week. I'm not misogynist, but I am sexist, right? I very am critical of women in certain roles. And I think that it's time to get rid of women in law enforcement. That's my opinion. And I'm taking a very hard black and white stance because we need to. This is the Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle, who was appointed in September of last year by Biden. This was her statement. They did a one-on-one.
And that's not even that long ago.
No, that's not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Not even, and she's the second woman in charge of the Secret Service. But this is her statement in a one-on-one interview.
What's your reaction when you saw the events unfold on Saturday?
Shock, and then concern, obviously, for the former president. This is an event that should have never happened.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
The president and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
You plan to stay on, absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
What was just like a fucking typical woman, has no concept of how to read the room, or that facts, logic, and rationale should actually dictate how she behaves. This is insane. I've seen police chiefs resign for less. This is the Secret Service, and I don't think those guys. I don't think those guys fuck around. I think you have to have the highest standards of physical fitness, mental acuity, tactics in order to safeguard these people that we deem kings and queens of our country. And smug as shit, she's not going anywhere. And she was almost choking on, the buck stops with me. I take responsibility. She should 100% be going, yes, I run it. The buck stops with me. I'm responsible. I'm accountable. I'm not shocked. I'm really not. But I think that this was the problem. Was this DEI and this appointment of females in a field that they just don't have any belonging.
Or is it more sinister? Everybody's still, I think Poso or a couple of people are tweeting about Alejandro Mayorkas is he's the head of DHS, of course, who controls the Secret Service. So is it more sinister? I truly don't know. But to your point about, you watching chief of police or sheriffs or constables or whatever being eliminated or not eliminated. Sorry, can't say that. Being terminated. I don't even know if that's okay.
They resigned.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah, they stepped down.
Yeah, they stepped down. Think about this, right? The police chief in Oakland, California, who was actually, as far as Oakland is concerned, was actually doing a pretty good job through 2021. He was fired for far less, right? In a city that is on par with Gotham. I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. You see the tapes. 40 kids at 4 a.m. ransack a gas station to what? We'll get some candy and get some beer. They're not going to, they're going to sell that stuff on eBay or Amazon or whatever. So that guy, his name was LaRon Armstrong, a black dude, of course, right? He gets fired as chief of police in Oakland for quote unquote police misconduct. But the head of the Secret Service says she won't resign. What the hell are you talking about resign? You should be fired. Who's in charge?
100%. 100%. I have to keep going and playing the gravity of the situation over my head. A portion of Trump's body was hit by a bullet. How that, and for those of us, now I'm not 100% tactically savvy on all these situations. I couldn't tell you what the Secret Service or federal government's protocol is. I would tell you if I was involved on that detail, what we would do as patrol officers is we would be told, go down by mile 5 of this and block off the fucking road. That's the extent of what you have your local and municipal police involved with federal government. They don't want you involved. They don't involve you. It is what it is. You're not tactically trained. You're those guys train, I would hope, especially Secret Service. They probably train 100 times more per year than most municipal cops do. But when I looked at it, it's like, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but it's a roof there. How do you not have people on that? Then there's a water tower. The whole thing is stupid. And the only thing I could think of, if you go down the conspiracy theory, because let's face reality, in 2 weeks, everyone's going to forget about this. It's going to be another Wayfair, another Vegas shooting. It's going to be, oh, this was the flavor of the day, right? And when I look at this, it's like, man, they're dumping a lot of information all over the place about this shooter out. Like, just insane. It's just, he was this, he was bullied, he was part of BlackRock, he was a horrible marksman. And they're not saying that, what's a simpler answer? And in my simpler answer, it's, you got a network that's in the White House, and they're a criminal organization, the biggest criminal organization in the world. And Biden did the whole, I'm going to appoint you, and then someday I'm going to call a favor. And then it was her job to skim and kind of move the chess pieces around for the detail and put Trump at risk. And then whatever Operation Mockingbird asset comes into play, and they just happen to have holes in their game. That's what I think really happened when it comes down to like whatever conspiracy theory. I just think that they lackluster said, oh, we got an opportunity. Let's tone it down a little bit. Oh, we need 300 bodies there to protect them. Okay, well, replace 99 of them with these brand new DEI hires, put them on there. So you'll still have a majority of seasoned people, but we're going to give it a greater opportunity for chaos to happen. That's what I think happened.
It's absolutely bizarre. And I mean, I guess to your point, like I remember when I first learned about this, like, I'm not even joking, bro. I watched it like 20 times, like, you know, when he kind of grabs his ear, and I'm just processing. I'm like, dude, what is the logical next step, right? Everybody's tweeting about it, everybody's talking about it. Like, you threw these cases, you tried to put them in jail, you did all this stuff. What is the logical next step? And then they want to pretend like, oh, we got to turn the volume down. But it's like, that's why they took Morning Joe off the air yesterday. If that's not an...
What did they do? They canceled the show, or they took him off the air for a day?
They just took him off the air for a day because apparently the heads at MSNBC or whatever were nervous that they're completely deranged guests and panelists. So we're gonna say, yeah, they're gonna fly off the handle.
Because you're a guy who literally does man on the street interviews. When I was a kid, we used to have phones that were anchored into the wall, and you had a cord and it was hardwired in. And you grew up with those too. You're not that much younger than me. And I don't know about you, but the rumor was always you should never use the words kill and president in the same conversation, because the Secret Service was always listening to your phone calls. So if back then I was so terrified to even crack a joke about that, but you go online and you see these fucking insane liberals. Oh, too bad they missed. Tenacious D, Jack Black, and I can't remember the other guys.
Yeah.
Just canceled their tour because Kyle had said that, for his wish for his birthday, that next time somebody doesn't miss, it's like, the brainwashing is kind of what I wanted to ask your opinion about, because you deal with people far more than most of us do. How do you explain the nonstop last 8 years of Trump is a Nazi, he's racist, he's a threat to democracy, to the shooting, to all of a sudden, these aren't the droids you're looking for, where all these Twitter blue check marks are denouncing and condemning the very same political violence they 100% incited. How do you wrap your mind around the fact that people can't see this, or they're falling into it, or they're just that good at brainwashing people?
That's one thing that I have said, is that you almost have to respect this level of mind control. Like, how do you get that good at it? We're talking 3-4 decades of just radicalizing people. But I will say this, and here's me once again, I feel like this has been a recurring theme, that I'm trying to keep the glass half full. But I think, in my experience, now obviously I haven't talked to everybody, but we're talking about San Francisco, we're talking about New York, these deep blue places that I truly think, and this is what's really weird, is that I think the radicalism, I mean, its home base is online, on Twitter, now on Threads. On Threads basically just has a one-way, it's the opposite of Twitter. Like, it's a one-way censorship thing. Like, you don't say anything mean about Joe Biden, but you can literally post a photo of an Antifa flyer of, Chainsaw Massacre guy like slicing Donald Trump. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But my point is, I think the radicalism really lives online, because when you talk to people one-on-one, there's a couple stupid people, and maybe I'm a little bit better at it than most of the population, but you can get these people slowly but surely to paint themselves into a corner where they will reach the realization themselves. So it's something about the mass psychosis. Like, they're all in this hive mindset. They can't tell the difference. But if you get these people one or two at a time, they will admit that it doesn't make sense. Now, I'm not saying everybody is going to come to a sane, rational conclusion. You can shout out James Klug, my buddy James, who's out there. He's going super viral right now because he's talking to some old guys, 60, 70-year-old, fully grown adults in Southern California who are like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump, he staged the whole thing, and the Secret Service put ketchup on his ear it's like, bro, that's like a college thing. But all that aside, they have done a really good job with the brainwashing. And as far as the radicalism that I think lives online, it's very strange that this kid had no online presence, as I'm told. Is that correct? That he didn't have, like, they can't find his Twitter or his Instagram or anything like that.
When can they ever? And it's always suspicious when they don't give, you got to take him out, not take him into custody. But then again, that doesn't fit the narrative of what the black community always accuses of, the liberal black community that accuses of, well, if the shooter was white, he'd be given McDonald's and taken into custody. Well, no, this kid had the fucking teeth blown out of the back of his fucking head, and he's no longer here. How did you feel after this happened? Because I'm not going to lie, the next day I went on Twitter and I was on a tirade, posting it on same shit on Instagram. And I am like, you liberals are cunts. And I'm at the point where I've successfully like leveled out the pressure over the last several years. Like when we're in this day and age, what the liberal left is so good at is getting the goads of people like me. And then there's no place to let it out, right? You can't literally walk up and punch somebody in the face because unless you're a liberal doing it to somebody who's wearing a MAGA hat. But I'm at the point where I was 100% fully endorsing. Yeah, I think that if somebody admits that they're a liberal, they should be punched. Their head. It's a kindness if you bounce their head off the concrete at this point, because it may reset it to the factory settings of logic. How did it make you feel when this happened?
Dude, genuinely, it maybe sounds corny, but like genuinely scared, right? Like, this is it. This is, as far as I'm concerned, and everybody has their own opinion, obviously, but I've said for several, I've said that we have been in CW2 since 2021. I remember specifically when Joe Biden, whatever, I call him Bo Biden because that's what he deserves. But when I believe he was wearing one of those famous Democratic tan suits, and he was giving a speech about how his patience had worn thin for people who chose not to get the shot. Now, we don't talk about that at all anymore. We don't talk about the Georgia case with Big Fat Fannie Willis. We don't talk about anything anymore. But it does make crystal clear sense why all that happened, why they tried to put him in jail, and to this point. But it's absolutely infuriating that, I mean, dude, I'm doom scrolling myself. I don't really use Twitter as much as I probably should, but I'm looking at other accounts and what these people are saying. And there's one, I don't want to name drop or whatever. You could go fat fab feminist, right? She's completely unhinged, like New York City fat lady that like is just, just off her rocker. You could look at her. I see her on Instagram. She's on Twitter. But think about this. She posted a thread basically saying, oh, this is so staged. Oh, but I'm sad he missed.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but how could those exist at the same time?
It blows me away. Right. But that's just it. This is staged and he missed. So it's two things that cannot exist in the same place at the same time. But people still believe it. And then they will repeat that same horse shit out there. And how many people sat there and had to resign the next day or get fired? I saw some firefighter posted about it, and he was pretty snide. And then the next day he posted online that he was getting death threats, so he has to resign. Cry harder. Cry fucking harder. I don't know the answer anymore outside of classical conditioning. And you've seen the movie Bird Box, I'm assuming?
I have not.
Yeah, where they got people have to keep their eyys closed and outside. And there's
is that the Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, there's a meme.
There's like a meme,
with the guy opening his eyes, like opening the woman's eyes. That's what you need to do. You need to physically force these people's eyes open and say, "What you're doing, you're stupid." Now, I've been very vocal about the MAGA crowd because they're just as brainwashed to some degree. Like J.D. Vance, who was just announced as Trump's running mate yesterday. I found a video where he explains, and I will play it, his views on being anti-Trump and whatnot. But the amount of people who were, you could say, oh, no, it wasn't J.D. Vance. What was it? Oh, it was something else. Fuck, I didn't save it. Regardless, both sides and their extremists, they will. It's pride. They'll die on the horse they rode in on just because their emotions will not let them go in any other direction.
Wouldn't you feel better though? Wouldn't you? Now, maybe this is like too rational for an irrational world, but wouldn't you almost feel better saying like, you know what? Actually, maybe I was wrong about that, or you know what I mean? You learn something. Like, I mean, I've obviously learned things from when I was 18 or 21. It's a completely different world now. Like, and I was never, to be honest with you, I was never like a radical lefty, but it's the default position in California, right? That you just kind of like, oh, vote blue no matter who. But at that time, I think they weren't quite as brazen. I think it wasn't, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think something happened with Trump. They just radicalized themselves.
And for what? Nobody knows. How do you hate a man this much? And he was beloved, The Apprentice, and he was in everybody's song. Everybody wanted to be like him. And shit, there's mountains of evidence that we grew up with that the man is not racist, that he did give a shit. So I just do not comprehend. And that's why I never went radical one way or the other. I grew up with a Democratic mother and a Republican father. And my mother switched after Obama's first term. And she's like, this is insane. So it was everybody, and they were married 50 years. So it's like, I don't know, people were able to coexist. We didn't see this unfriending, defriending in real life as well, too, until recently. I kind of want to switch gears. Did you heard about J.D. Vance being picked for VP?
Of course, yes.
Did you have any opinion on that at all?
Well, some of my, Instagram friends were asking me this a couple weeks ago. And I did. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I do remember saying, I think J.D. Vance is going to be the pick. That was just a gut feeling. And I will admit, I don't know too much about the guy, all of his, anti-Trump rhetoric. I do remember hearing rumblings about how he didn't really like him, but somehow came around. Yeah. You can't trust a politician as far as you can throw him, but we're at the point where, look, maybe this is my conditioning, but right now I'm at the point where I don't think, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can make a better VP pick than Donald Trump. So I'm going to ride with you, bro. You made that pick. You got to stand by it. I hope for all of our sake that it's the right one. And I think maybe, and this is what some people have said, that this could be a good pick because he was so anti-Trump that he could kind of make the case for why you might come around now. And I have seen this. I've been tracking a lot, since I don't have power at my house, but I've just been on my phone plugged in at this, bug out location that I'm at. But I've been looking through a lot of YouTube comments, Instagram comments. And yes, there are still a lot of rabid lefties out there, but there are also people, I screenshot a couple of people literally, I think they're telling the truth. I don't know these people from a ham sandwich, but literally saying like, yeah, I used to trust you guys, but they're basically telling the Amber Rose story, right? So I think I don't know if it's perfect. I don't know if anything's ever going to be perfect, but you know, what can we do about it now?
We're all looking for a Trump, everybody's looking for a Trump 2.0 replacement. I was asking the same questions, right? Because I don't know really that much about him. And then
he's from Ohio though, right?
Yeah, right. And I choose not to really be place any politics, my views politics wise on who I support, because I vote with my emotion like anybody else. I tell the story how I really was never into politics, and the first time I wanted to get into politics was when Bush ran, and I think I don't remember, it was the first or second time he ran against Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney was in the primary running against Bush. And I remember working, and I'd be like, I'm going to vote for Romney. And everyone said, why? And I said, because he looks the most presidential. That was it. And at the time, and look what he turned out to be. So I don't know anything, but I do know that the one thing I can't stand, the one thing that I have no respect for whatsoever is hypocrisy. But I respect the shit out of people who can acknowledge, I don't think there's mistakes, but can acknowledge and justify their reasoning. This was, Vance was asked about his negative comments. It looks like he was running, he's in Senate or Congress?
Senator Vance, I believe he was a senator.
Well, then I think this looks like the panel that he was running on, and they asked him this question, and here was his answer.
You about your views on former President Trump, but Mr. Vance, we do begin with you. You've admitted you've changed your mind on Donald Trump, but in the past you've said, quote, I'm a never Trump guy, quote, my God, what an idiot, and quote, God wants better of us. All statements you have either said or tweeted about Donald Trump at some point. The question, you have 60 seconds, why should Trump voters, Trump supporters, vote for you?
Yeah, look, I mean, all of us say stupid things, and I happen to say stupid things very publicly. I've been very public about the fact that I voted for the president in 2020, that I was wrong about the president back in 2015, 2016, and that he's been the greatest president of my lifetime for the very simple reason, there are many, but one very important reason is that he revealed the corruption in Washington, D.C. I mean, who would have believed 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that the FBI would actually investigate illegally, get an illegal wiretap on a sitting U.S. presidential candidate. We saw that. Trump revealed it, and he revealed it in a way that showed us the stakes of the fight, which is why I'm running for this office in the first place. One thing I'd point out is that I was just north of 30 years old when I said a lot of those things. A lot's changed in my life. I re-engaged with my faith. I got baptized 3 years ago. I've had 3 kids since then. A lot's different. And one of the things that's different is that I did change my mind about Donald Trump. He was a great president. And I think at the end of the day, one of the things this race presents is an opportunity. Who actually agrees with Trump on the core issues of trade, of immigration? Who's willing to fight for an America First foreign policy? I think ask each of you.
I was pretty impressed by that answer, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, look, it goes without saying, obviously nobody's perfect. And look, he said a lot, which I'm sure is true, but look, bro, I think even myself, I wasn't fully wrapped up, but think about everybody was wrapped up in the media hyperbole. Even Amber Rose, notoriously, she was like, yeah, I was in California, I was in Hollywood, I didn't know what was going on, but I kind of snapped out of it. Now, me personally, my first little glimpse, first taste of like snapping out of it was the individual mandate, or was it called individual mandate, whatever, Obamacare. Like, my parents were like jamming it down my throat and telling me like, oh, go on this website, go on this website. I spent 2 days on this website that didn't work, and I never got it done. And then I got a big bill at the end of the year, which, my loving parents helped me pay for because I didn't have any money. But all that said, do you think we're at the point now, like, there conspiracy theories are flying every which way, but are we to believe that this guy didn't like Trump at one point, so the deep state would like him and he's going to turn on Trump? Or is it more likely that he came to his senses and realizes more than ever now that the deep, quote unquote, deep state was, is completely compromised? I think
it's going through it, right? Like, look at me in law enforcement. If you find any of my videos from 2016, 2017, I have a completely different view of where I do now. And that's because I went through the fucking motions. I saw the corruption. I went, oh my God, we do have a fucking problem. So I think that's all. His answer, his tone, he didn't skirt around an issue. He acknowledged, hey, I happen to say some very stupid things and publicly. And then the biggest thing for me, what he said was, and I don't, faith may have something to do with it. And in his case, that's awesome. My faith is like, I don't, maybe his faith does have something to do with it because I'm a lot calmer. I prayed for the shooter. While everyone else is like, good, dead fucking shooter. I'm like, man, you guys are fucking vultures. It's some kid. It was still somebody's son, somebody's friend. And I don't care if he was given his first fucking lay or the government came in and, these black SUVs brought out 3 strippers and said, yeah, they're going to all fuck you all for the night. And what we need to do is we need to teach you to take a shot at the president. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to get laid for the first time ever. The kid was manipulated. And I feel horrible. Absolutely horrible for him. And then all the division and even all the leftists who are just, they have to know what they're doing, right? They have to know that every time one of those blue check marks on Twitter puts something out that no rational human being would put out just to stir the pot, it's like, how do you not feel dirty and scummy when you fucking do it? So I guess
that's like the Jack Black thing, right?
Yeah.
Like is the what's his name? Kyle?
Yeah.
Is he this evil? He thought it was funny. He's this far behind the news cycle. Like that doesn't float anymore. Like is he truly that far behind the news cycle where he thinks like, well, for the last 5-6 years we've been holding up effigies and pointing guns at Trump. Like that's still gonna fly? Like are you guys that out of touch? Like or is this malicious? I genuinely don't know.
I would not. Under any circumstances, if Biden were shot and killed, I would be horrified. I would not be celebrating. It would do nothing for my life if Biden was, God forbid, removed that way. And sadly, if he's removed from office, impeachment or whatever, it doesn't do anything for me either because it's a hydra. You cut his head off and 2 are going to grow in his place. So I don't know how anybody, like, you have to be a very, very, very low vibration, unintelligent human being if you think that Donald Trump is the problem. 80 fucking million people. 80 million people, and however more are supporting him now after this, who are on the side of Trump, they're your problem. And that's where I'm at too, is jump. You feeling froggy? Fucking jump, because I'm so tired of waiting. I don't know if you know who this is. This is Destiny. He's a YouTuber.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've seen him. Somebody shared this clip. I haven't heard it yet. I saved it for us to evaluate.
Wait, hang on, really quickly.
Yeah.
Just to your point about Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I could make the argument, heaven forbid anything bad happens to him, but that would almost be worse because at least Trump, he's only a couple years younger, but he's spry. He puts together sentences. He knows what he's doing. Joe Biden, they're just trotting him out there, and that's almost worse because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. So if somebody were to get to him, that would be arguably even more sinister because he's just he's just a puppet. Like Trump appears to at least have a stance where Joe Biden is just like, I mean, he's out there taking, urban media interviews and he's literally speaking in gibberish. There's these weird garbled words that you can't even, I don't know if you saw the clip, but the interviewer at Complex Magazine literally laughed in his face. Like, because he can't. You could tell he can't make. So I mean, it's all a hypothetical, but it would almost be worse. I have, like I was talking to my dad. I'm like, he got shot, and the next fucking day he went golfing. It's like, yep,
holy shit, dude. I felt it when he stood up and it looked like he was mouthing the word fight. Just to see that look on his face, I was like, oh my God. In that moment, to be honest, and this is how powerful and yet reserved Trump is. In that moment, Trump didn't let his emotions get away with anything, right? He could have 100% after being shot, he could have let his emotions take over, gone up to the microphone before the Secret Service whisked him off, and he could have just said, now fucking attack. And you would have seen every backwoods Trump 2024 fucking blue and red, white, and blue hillbilly flag flying shit go out there, and they would have stormed the Capitol and an insurrection. They would have done it, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it, and he went golfing the next day. I'm like, this guy is unfucking shakeable. Oh.
And apparently he drained a 20-footer with 2 feet of break. That's what the internet's saying. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't. I want to play this. This is from Kendall in Kentucky. She shared this. It just says, this individual, Destiny, unfortunately seems to represent a vast majority of the left. Demons walk among us.
Dude, the firefighter guy, fuck Trump, fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am. Fuck the dude.
Okay.
The fire.
I don't do that, man. I just never.
That's a grown man.
Yes. I just don't understand that. I have zero joy at all knowing that a kid who, is in his 20s, the shooter, that's a kid to me.
He was 20.
Dude,
he was 20 years old. He graduated high school 2 years ago.
How fucked up does your brain have to be to think it's a good idea for me to climb up and take a shot at the most recognized man in the world? And then his life ended. Fucking it horribly.
Yeah, there's that. And look, I think I'm maybe bringing it back to social, because I don't know, he's only 20 years old, so he doesn't know a world without social media. Like, I didn't get an iPhone until I was well into college. Twitter didn't come out until after I was out of college. So maybe that's a bit of an advantage. But I remember, to your point about your folks or, 50-year marriage or Republican Democrat stuff, all that. Like, I remember being in college in San Francisco, playing poker, playing Halo with Obama guys, Bush guys. They had bumper stickers on their dorm room door. We had nicknames for each other. One guy was called Conservative Dan, right? Like, it was just playful. It was all jokes. We none of us were really political like that. We used to joke about, we would talk about, quote unquote hate crimes, and we were all kind of looking at each other like, wait, what the hell is a hate crime? Like, if you and this was a long time ago. This was 2008 or 07. This is a long time ago when it just wasn't that extreme. There was never, bro. There were larger, more pressing fights over the NBA Finals and the Super Bowl than any political thing. And now it's just like,
yeah, and that's the difference. That's the difference is when it's like Cubs versus Sox season, or I think the last time I truly cared about any sport was when the Bulls won their second 3 in a row. And I'm like, okay, what was that, 98? 99, something like that. It's like, that's and it was, you were hot because, it was, who the hell did they play? Oh, man, I can't remember the fucking team.
Utah?
New York, no. Who, John Starks, who did he play for?
Oh, New York.
Yeah. And it was like Starks was on. You get all fucking riled up because then, like, that's seasonal, right? You get a couple months out of the year out of that. Politics is every damn day. And when you really think about this, I don't know what your remembrance is, but when I first got on social media, it was MySpace. And I think back to where my profile picture was of a toddler. And the toddler's wearing a pair of overalls, and it looks like the toddler is at like getting like their Sears photographs, so that the cameraman is making the toddler all happy, and the toddler's got an explosively happy look on his face. And the caption says, "If you're happy and you know it," and then that's all it says. If you're happy and you know it, and the toddler has no arms from the elbows down, so so he can't clap his hands. And I remember crying so hard in laughter over this. And then when Facebook came up, literally all day, every day when I was available, was before we had the app for the phone. We'd be at our computers, and I would spend all day, or as much time as I could, doing forgetting Sarah Marshall quotes on social media. That was it. That was it. And it would be the same shit every fucking day. Great movie. You watch the director's cut, and all of a sudden those happy tissues are sad tissues, and you get 4 or 5 people chiming in. And I look now on what social media is. It's pure political. Like my Instagram, I don't niche down on anything. I put up things on law enforcement, on martial arts, fitness, network marketing and sales, stuff I do. And unless it's political, unless I'm ranting and raving on a very hard line to the right, nobody gives a shit. It's like, that's where we're at now. It's a nonstop saturation of politics.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think it really, like, I think about like, you know, I go to CPAC or I go to AmFest and we're in these little bubbles. Same thing, like my social media, like I do have a personal account where I genuinely made a point. I don't even put words in the captions. It's all just emojis and like, you know, I fancy myself fairly artistic, so I just take these pictures. That's all my personal stuff. But I started this, you know, Report and Opine account basically to talk about politics. Well, really, it started off to talk about Rona, but I'm realizing that I'm super eyeball deep, and this is gonna sound bad, but when I'm trying to do street interviews, no, I don't want to like toot my own horn. I'm not trying to like be a jerk or anything, but I'm trying to like take it down a notch because I don't want people to know that I know too much about certain things, right? So, because you want them to be. You don't want them to think that they're getting into like a gotcha, like, because you know, if I really wanted to, I could just go downtown and gotcha question anybody. I don't even want to take interviews myself because I don't want to get gotcha questioned. But my point is, there is this whole other. I was talking to my roommate about this, and like, and when I'm trying to detox from politics, I go into 1996 Emeril Lagasse because there's this whole world out there that's not political at all. But I don't know if. I think my algorithm or the whatever, the platforms, the networking, the sites have gotten me so deep in that every single thing looks like that. But you could go over to vintage NBA Instagram and they're not going to say a word. Well, I don't know. Maybe they
I
will.
have to wonder if you just solved
I truly don't know. Actually, it might bleed into everything. I really don't know.
I wonder if you solve the problem. Like, what's the answer? The answer, and then for what purpose, right? Is the answer to create a new social media account and just, hey, you want to go take pictures of the trees outside or go fishing and post it? That's awesome. But wait a second. Why can't you do that on your pre-existing fucking social media page? Social media is not what it used to be. It's not social anymore. It's agenda media.
Yeah, I think it is the algorithm. And I actually, you know what? I still have a lot of interviews from when I was in New York and I was asking people this question about, I was asking about AI, but I was also asking about their algorithm because, the younger kids, I was like down, Washington Square Park, like NYU area. So, all these kids, they have, well, I'm guilty of it too, but whatever. They have their cell phones surgically attached to their hand. And a lot of them were, think about this. They would not for one split second, because they've been beaten into submission by the hardcore establishment leftists, that they can't say their opinion on anything because they know that even if they take a left-wing position, it could change tomorrow and they'll be ostracized. But if you ask them a very personal question like, hey, let me see your Instagram Explore page, they'll show you that in an instant. Like, oh, I like fashion, or I like art, or I like, beach photographers or whatever. And they'll show you that instantly. But they will not touch with a 10-foot pole anything political, which is very strange.
I have to wonder what's on my Explore page. Dare I click the button? I don't even know what the fuck I would.
And I can see different ones. Like for my political one is obviously a lot of politics, but then if I go to my personal account, it's there's a lot of Sopranos memes, a lot of Simpsons jokes, because obviously I love the Sopranos, I love the Simpsons. Sneakers, a lot of like old school, like vintage Air Jordans and like 2002 Nike sneakers, like the stuff that I grew up with. So I don't know what the answer is to it, but I gotta go back and look through that footage and clip some of those, because I think I'm thinking about this right now actually. I think that was a very good question that I should go back and put out.
This is what I wanted to talk about, how conservatives are just as hive-minded. I just saved you, come on. Yeah, Matt Walsh, I guess he tweeted out yesterday, the RNC gives primetime speaking slot to a pro-abortion feminist and self-proclaimed slut with a face tattoo whose only claim to fame is having sex with rappers. Truly embarrassment. Not a single voter will be mobilized by this person. And the blue check marks and people who are Trump supporter were just attacking the shit out of him. That's the hypocrisy that blows me away. I don't care what somebody does. I just really don't. I'm not one of those conservative Christians who get on board with Jesus or whatever, or you're useless to us. I believe that my job is to be the best representative of what I can. And when you want to know some stuff, come to me. And, hopefully my way is not as intrusive, and I'll help you get to the path you want to. Because I'm just a big fuck up too. But it blows me away how Walsh, what he said, he's right. Conservatives are all about pro-life and anti-porn and all this. And he brings this point, and conservatives just eat him alive because she's all Trump, Trump, Trump now. And how dare anybody question who supports Trump? That was what I was going to talk about earlier.
Yeah, I saw his tweet. I didn't read the comments or anything, but I do have. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but my cousin literally has a baby with Amber Rose.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I used to joke with my mom, and his mom, my mother's sister, that. Because his name's Alex. You could look at him. He was dating Cher. I think they broke up, or maybe they got back together. I don't know. But he's a complete degenerate. Like we went. I stayed in high school. Obviously, graduated. He chose not to, and went the music route, and it did pay off. I mean, the joke was he was a weed carrier for Tyga. You know Tyga, the rapper.
No, I don't.
He's a California rapper. If you heard if he does have a couple popular songs, if you heard, he'd be like, oh, I've heard this before. I think he's claimed to fame. He's gotten some songs in commercial or movie soundtracks. So he's done the job. He doesn't really have to make any music anymore. But the joke was that Alex was a weed carrier for Tyga. And if you look at the credits, he wrote some of the songs. Anyways, he has a baby with Amber Rose. And then the next joke popped up is that she broke up with him. The literally self-proclaimed slut broke up with Alex because he was that much of a Hollywood degenerate. I mean, we're talking dozens of women, whatever, Hollywood swinger party, anything. And a woman with his and her child's names tattooed on her face decided she couldn't handle him anymore because he was too outrageous. All that said, I think this is just proof of how outlandish the establishment left has become. So yes, you want to see somebody take a principled stand, and maybe you don't want to let Amber Rose into the big tent, but I think outside of that, it's just proof of how diluted they've become. The same thing with Jillian Michaels. She's like, oh, I'm a Jewish lesbian in LA, but you've gone too far. You've lost the plot. When you got Nancy Pelosi butting heads with, you got Nancy Pelosi butting heads with Katie Tur on MSNBC. Katie Tur is the daughter of a transgender who who was the first person to spot O.J. Simpson driving down the highway in a white Bronco when he was a man in 1994 or whatever. Now he has convinced himself and his daughter, apparently, that he's a woman, and Nancy Pelosi goes to bat with that reporter. So think about how, when you lose the daughter of a tranny on MSNBC, not taking your narrative at heart anymore, you've lost the plot. The only ones they have now is what? Joy Reid, who is the picture of the hive mind, who will literally go on, and I posted this a couple days ago, will literally make a selfie video quite actively saying, just tell me who I have to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. So she's not going to make any decisions. She's not going to do any research. She's going to get a couple clips that her producers give to her or something, but she will literally tell you, I don't know, just tell me what to do so we could stop Hitler. That's literally what she said. So I think they're dwindling. And it's, I hope, I could be wrong, obviously, but once again, me trying to keep the glass half full. The old days of Facebook, the old days of Instagram, when I first got Instagram and I was just I was at an Indian restaurant. I didn't know what Instagram was until the girl I was dating at the time said, "Oh, there's this new app." So I took a picture of the Indian food, the restaurant we were at. And now I think that even the Amber Roses, so if she's got 20 million followers on Instagram, yeah, some of them are going to be like, Orange Man bad, but some of them are going to be like, because they're just as malleable, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I've made the joke that, the establishment could just think about the Palestine protesters, right? Like, you need to divest, you need to do that. How about just tell them you did? They're not going to do any research. Just tell them. Just tell them what you want them to know, and then let it go. So I think I think that's maybe a little bit more of a political strategic move, which I'm not going to knock. I don't like Amber Rose as far as I can throw her.
She's our version of Cardi B's support.
Yes, but even Cardi B has walked out on the Democrats.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is you have to have now that market kind of corded over on this side. And now I don't know anything about her, but all I do know is that for Amber Rose to take that stance, which she did last night, she put herself at a risk to lose probably a majority of her base. It was a risk to do it. I found this. This is you can't see this. This is this woman has the complexion of a urinal. Her skin, she's wearing all black, a black headband, a rainbow face mask. She's got glasses, and she's a little bit thick, being asked about the Trump assassination.
Oh, I think I saw this. Go, play it.
Absolutely. You guys are out here on the heels of the attempted Trump assassination. Can I get your reaction to what happened the other day?
Well, it's a shame the person missed, but it's ironic that the shooter was also a Republican, and I am scared about political violence.
You're scared of political violence, but you were hoping that he wouldn't have missed.
Yes.
Wow. Could you elaborate on that? I mean, many people are thankful that the shooter missed and could have led to a lot of conflict in the country.
Regardless if Trump is in power or not, he has a lot of influence, and that makes him a very dangerous person, and nothing will stop. And we want to live, and sometimes Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter that included one of my favorite quotes, that sometimes the tree of liberty needs to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
Do you hope to see others also, if all that holds true, do you want to see others try what this young man tried at this Trump rally?
I don't know if it would do any good.
Dude, all I know is I've probably got, conservatively speaking, another 20 years of real good fight left in me. Like Stallone. Once Stallone hit about 71, 72, he wasn't the same Stallone. But 69 Stallone, 68, still a fucking badass, right? So I'm thinking maybe 20 more years. I'd be okay with Trump just going, it's on, go to war. And then I would follow the herd just to sit there and go to war with these fucks to see whose blood does get shed to water that tree. That's where I'm at right now. I'm so sick of these idiots.
Yeah, and I say this privately, but it's a free speech platform, and nicely. I mean, maybe I've said this on the show, but it's like, bro, once you think about the Safety Act, so this thing they just passed in California, when you're talking about castrating children, to put it nicely.
Yeah, was that Gavin Newsom's one he just signed out in California?
Yes, and of course they come up with a cute little name. It's called the Safety Act. So the teachers, basically, my take on it is, if the teachers or TikTok or whatever get to the students before the parents do, then the parents have no right. Correct. So they've passed a bill that, teachers don't have to tell parents if their child is capitulating to this.
Every sane, rational parent in California, if that's the case, right, you've got an act passed in California law that parents no longer have to be notified of what a grown adult teacher or influencer is going to do to their child, and they don't have to tell them. How every parent, sane or every sane adult, does not descend onto the Capitol, California, and burn it to the fucking ground blows me away. If ever there's a time for rioting, insurrection, no peaceful protests, none. You cannot peaceful protest with this. You need to burn shit the fuck down with your government elected leaders, maybe still inside. That protect your children. That's it.
Dude, heads gotta roll, bro. Like it's I think we kind of got to this point by sort of doing the peaceful thing but you guys, you kept pushing, you pushed everybody away. Like I could have been in the default liberal position, in 2014, 10 years ago, like not really understanding what was going on except for that weirdo individual mandate. But that wasn't even enough for me to really dive deep into it. But you guys just kept going. And even living in New York, right? It was worth the price of entry. You pay the taxes, you pay the fees, but it was just, you never know who you're going to run into. You can walk everywhere. You can take the train. It's all good. But you guys got too greedy. You overplayed the hand, and we got to push back.
Yeah. Eric Butler, Report and Opine. Give everybody a plug where they could buy your book, where they could follow your content, and how they could support you. We have your Instagram page pulled up for people to see too. Report and Opine on Instagram, but tell everyone where they could support you.
Yeah, so go follow on Instagram, follow on Spreely, same handle. Of course, YouTube, Rumble, and you gotta go to Amazon. I have zero control over the price. It could be cheap today, it could be expensive tomorrow. New York City 2020 by Eric Butler. Go ahead and buy that. And bro, thank you. I can't believe, like, I've just been so out of sorts with not having power. I literally didn't even know what day it was. So thank you for the reminder, bro. I appreciate it.
100%. All right, guys, that's Tuesday. We appreciate you. Tomorrow, the Burn Pit Podcast boys are on. Make sure you go to rantsofizzo.com, support the show. We are 100% listener and viewer funded. Buy my book, Before the Badge, Everything You Need to Know Before You Become a Cop, available at wordsmatterpublishing.com, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon. Guys, have a great damn fucking day. Go out and help somebody today. And if you can't help them, as always, please just don't fucking hurt them. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great damn day.